Hello, hello. There's a lot of rippling and roaring in the energy right now as you're approaching the Lion Gate's peak. And so if you're all feeling a lot of emotion or energy moving at a rapid pace, know that this is normal. It is the inviting and the connecting to Mary Magdalene is something in which Kelly has been attuning and calibrating to, and Mary Magdalene is delighted to be here with all of you today, as she will integrate her energy and calibrate it with the vibrational field of this one so that it may come through as a transmission to all of you. As Archangel Raphael, I may be assisting in this process, for it is that she has never entered into this vessel or spoken through Kelly before. And so in order to interpret the words, it will be a accumulation or a combination or intertwining of our energies as it will appear and sound very much as I do, yet it will be a full transmission and translation from Mary Magdalene herself. And so with that, we will bring that vibration forward for you as you may want to attune to her and to her love. For her energy is very different than I as Archangel Raphael, as well as her mission and her template. And it comes at this time because it was part of the design in which she was laying out for a very, very long time, as it is arriving now with great momentum across your globe. You may believe that I come with a heavy heart, but that is not so. For I come with a light heart to share with you, to love you, and to heal you, for this is my mission, for I am Mary Magdalene. Tell me what it is you want to know before we shall begin.
Hi, Mary Magdalene. It's an honor. What we'd really like to know is your story and what your story is that might be different from the story that we were told about you and Jesus growing up.
Well, the story that you have heard has no truth in reality. For I am so much more than you know me to be, and yet I am beginning to be understood, for I had been shamed and put aside and ridiculed and judged. I lay in the void of nothingness, in the place where there are no names. And as I lay there, I began to feel a calling to your great planet Earth. And in that calling, I merged with the energy and the name that you call Jesus or Jeshua. For we are not separate, but one. For you know of him, for he is looked upon as your great savior, or a being of light, an avatar of consciousness. And he is. But so am I. I say this to you not from a place of ego, but of great humbleness, for it is time for you to know me. You see, if you do not honor me and recognize who I am and what I have to share with you, the teachings of Jesus, his light, his love, his healing are lost, for they were cast away in deep misjudgment and misunderstanding, for they have been lost beneath the rubble of the thought of demand and ego. We lay together in this void in union as one, for we were never really separate, but one energy. We chose to embody both the vibration of the male and the female. Today, you call this the divine feminine and masculine. And in that void, we knew there was a plan, but it was a long, long plan that would cast over thousands and thousands of years before it was truly understood and you would see it for its perfection. We knew there would be distortion and judgment, ridicule and misinformation, but we did not, or perhaps we did underestimate the free will of humanity, the ego, the need and the thirst and the lust for power, and how far and deep and distorted our teachings would become. We came to you and we dropped through the void, knowing our plan and our great design. We came as young children in the form of a body, but yet the veil did not cross us as it does you, for we were awake in our plan, in our design, in our remembering. We knew it would not be an easy path, and with it would come hardship, and for me, even stoning and casting. That was my own crucifixion. And for him, it would be great pain of the body, and yet he would transcend that pain as my love for him would hold him to higher realms. And yet he would rise again as we would merge together back into the void of nothingness, where we would wait for you all to remember. The time of the remembering is here. It is now, and for some it has been many years before now, as you started to hear the whispers of my calling and the remembering of my light. You see, it was the distortion of my energy, my power, and my love that cast the shadow of heaviness and darkness around his knowing and teachings. For the beautiful light of Christ and his love cannot fully be felt or understood until you honor me, not because it is that I am so important, but it is that I am him and he is me, and to only honor one of us disregards the whole, and then it is distorted, for it becomes a fraction of its light. And so you must see me for who it is that I am, and recognize that these old ways of casting away the feminine can no longer reign across your globe, for it has created darkness and havoc and sorrow and pain. And yet the rising of it, just as it is, should be and is playing out due to the perfect design in place, is coming now to fruition, which brings me great joy. And so it is that we came together as children, and there is much misconception about me, for some had called me a seductive energy or even a whore. And yet it was that I could place my hands upon you and instantly you would heal. They did not know or understand this, and so they looked to me to find ways to shame me, to put cast of doubt upon me, to be afraid of me, to see me as a sorceress or a witch. And yet I was simply holding the light that lies inside each and every one of you, the knowing, the teaching, the remembering, and the understanding that is coming to be. And so together we walked along this path, and it is that he knew who I was, for we would see within the eyes of one another the remembering of our union, the reason that we had to come together. We would look together and feel, for we did not need to use the word, for we could speak to one another, just simply being together. For we knew from an early time, and it was that of my mother and his that brought us together, as we went into the deep teachings of the mystery schools and the understanding. There was no separation, for we were the same, and I was by his side. For they would line up far, far away to come to be healed, to hear, to learn, to know, and to understand. And as many as lined for him, lined for me. And they came, and they came, and we placed our hands and we saw them whole. We loved them and we hold and held the design of our knowing. And yet it was due to the way the design was planned and the crucifixion of his form and the ascension and resurrection of his body and the return that we came together as we lay as one in the cave, that we knew we had to watch and wait as free will would play its role and you would return to the knowing that you could not have his light without recognizing and seeing mine. And yet a great shadow came and blanketed itself across the earth, for many might call it that of the power, the free will of the ego, the breaking down of the remembering, the darkness in the hardening of the heart, the forgetting of the earth and the cycles of the moon, of the womb and the light within. And in this deep forgetting, there was the killing and the massacring of the animals and the cutting of the trees. There was that of looking to the women as if they were not powerful, nor as grand as the male, subjugated to be property, or less than to be placed away to do the work of meaningless labor. And yet the power of the womb of creation lie within them. And it was the fear of the misunderstanding of this creation and the power they had from the ego of the out of balance masculine that took from them their knowing. And so they began to lose their connection with the great mother and the earth and the moon and the cycles in their womb. They began to forget their power and their strength. They began to believe the lies that they were sinful and shameful and less than and unworthy. They began to shrink in humbleness and clothe themselves so that you could not see their skin and hide their ankles and their face and their eyes, afraid of their body and their sensuality and their sexuality. They would cast themselves in a heavy blanketness of shame and guilt and unworthiness. And this unworthiness moved through their cells and their body and their blood and their soul, and it passed through their womb to their offspring as generations after generations of the feminine forgot who they were, thinking that they could be hurt or even traumatized or even taken or raped, that they were unworthy or less than or smaller or inferior. And all of this continued to take place. And in that, the light, the teachings, the love of Jesus, all that he had to share, all of the beauty in his heart, it got distorted because it could not hold its perfect form, for only half of it could be seen, for he and I were the same in one. And when you disregarded me, you took half of his truth and you hid it dark within the cave and locked the door. And in that way, the distortion forgot and created a cast of judgment along and to all around, forgetting that you are not separate, but one, and that it is his teachings, which were only that of love. And love would not harm another, nor say, if you did not see my way, that you were unworthy or less than. And love would not look to a woman and put them to shame or guilt or sin of their body. For it got lost and disconnected and deeply distorted. There were those who remembered and could see the kernels of truth and would try to bring them forward to the people, but yet they were not fully heard. Pieces and parts sometimes could be felt and seen, and so the rippling of that light still passed like a thread weaving through your form, and yet it could not express itself to its fullest because it was I that they had denied. And so I come for you to see me and to know that I carry the love that he carries, not better or less than, but equal in part. For he and I are a union of light, and we are one. And so when you allow the rising of my love for you and the love that resides within you to come to the surface, knowing it is not out somewhere in a book or a gospel or a church or a temple or a place, but it is only in one place, and that is in your heart, the temple of your heart of the red rose. And so I come to gift that to you today so that you may open again to see that you and I and he and him in unison are one. And so wherever it is that lies deep within you, that you have judged yourself or another, that you have laid in the feeling of shame or guilt, and that you have allowed yourself to be seen less than the divine being of light that you are, I come to bring a gift, the gift to wash this away, as this old template is crumbling and dismantling before your eyes, and the union of our light coming together again, and the rebalancing of our form, as the teachings will come, not from a great savior in the sky that will land for all to see, but the awakening that lives and dwells not somewhere far in the distant way, but deep inside your own heart. For everything you need to know and everywhere you want to go, everything that is to be is something you already know. It is inside, my dear child. It is not somewhere in the distant future or laying in a book from the old past, but it is the seed within your heart that you allow to bloom with the love that you are. And so I am Mary Magdalene, and I am as powerful, as important, as loving, as kind, as miraculous, as capable as the great Jesus. And I do not shy away from this teaching. And in the past, you would cast me and burn me at the stake. You would look to me in shame and say, I could not be of so. But you see, it is in the remembering and your willingness to know that the balance of his light that I love so will come to be seen again, for he is strong and generous and healing and powerful and beautiful. But we are not separate, but a union of one.
Thank you so much for your messages. And Mary Magdalene, what would be your message to women today, if you have one?
To be free, to take away the constraints that have been placed upon you, to follow the rule, the way that has been subjected and taught to you, that you are free to return to the cycles of the earth, to the moon and the sun, to remember your light and to stand forth, to not allow another to tell you that you are less than or to take from you, to love yourself and your body, to not be ashamed of your body or to hide it away, but to recognize it as the temple that houses your spirit and comes together with another to bring forth new life. That you are powerful within your womb, you can call forth creation itself and bring new energy to form, to be. And so I ask you to stand unashamed in your body and in your soul and in your being, and to know that you are healers of yourself and others, to share your truth and not be afraid to speak it, to allow others to hear you and not feel you must run or hide. For every time you felt less than or invisible, abandoned or misunderstood or judged, to bring love to that part and to bring it back to balance as I shall support you in that now. For you can raise the children and hold them to your bosom and feed them with your gifts. And at the same time, you can teach and share and heal and know and create and be. For you are all of this and more. Do not place yourself in a box that you are one or another, this way or that, for you are so much more. And when you come into equal unity and union with the masculine, you can bring forth the divine that is being born right now across your globe with the remembering as Jesus and I once had. For the veil is not as thick for them that come forward now. And as they keep coming in droves and droves, fully awake to their design, they will see ahead and follow it. For their free will, the design will not get in the way as they bring forth teachings and knowledge and understanding. So look to them and know that they will be born in the generation to come that recognizes the union of the balance of the divine feminine and masculine. We do not speak of this within the body that you have or the genitals or the gender that you carry, for it is a balancing in no matter what form you are in, to bring it into perfect union, not by finding it within another, but within yourself. For the union must come inside you. You must bring this balance within your own form. In many regards, this is why many are feeling less identified with a particular gender, because they are merging the masculine and feminine as one energy within themselves, as a fullness in their wholeness and their light. And with that, they are full and free and awake, as are you.
Thank you, Mary Magdalene. And now we would love to be taken through an activation.
When I was living, I had a space where many would come. And as I opened the door and welcomed them, they could see my light in my eyes. They did not even know why they came. They just felt this calling to move, to get up in the night, to walk. And they would walk sometimes down long cobblestone and dirt roads to find their way to me. They would knock at my door and they would not even know why. And I would open that and welcome them as I had a fire lit and a fur on the floor. And they would come and they would lay, and I would sit with them, and I would see them in their divinity, in their perfection, in their wholeness. And I would place my hand upon their heart. And as I did this, I would release them from the shackles and the illusion of the world of forgetting, as they were to return for a moment in the glints of the oneness in the void. And because of that, when they would leave, they would not know what happened, but they would feel light and alive, and they would be in a sense of their knowing. And many would watch them come, men and women, and they would think that I was a whore. They would think that I was there to give them pleasure of the body, and yet I did give them pleasure, but way beyond that of the sexual pleasure, the pleasure of returning to home. And so today, may I give you this gift, for it is my blessing. It is what I have to share with you. You can only find it and come and receive it inside the halls of your own heart. For I am not with you in form, nor are you entering my dwelling by the fire to lay on the floor, for that is long past, but I am here in the form of light and in energy, and there is no distance between us. For whether you are sitting beside me as I move through this vessel, or you are across the globe, I am with you, right next to you, because I am you, and you and I are one. I live and I dwell in your heart, in your welcoming to receive me. And so with that, begin to attune to my love my sweetness, my femininity, my healing, and my light. For I come, if you wish, to break down and to take away the heaviness. When I look inside the energy of your fields, I see in some and all more than others a sense of energy. It looks like a swirling black tar. This tar covers you in the forgetting. Sometimes you call it shame. Sometimes you call it sin. Sometimes you call it unworthiness. Sometimes you call it just sorrow and anger and grief. And I come to help to lift it for you, to allow it to come out and into my chalice, where it is transmuted and turned back into source and into the light. And so if you allow this, it is magnetized, because wherever it is that I go and I stand before it, it comes toward me and I receive it. And in the receiving of it, you become light. And it is that it does not harm me, for I can receive it and it moves into my vessel, the chalice, and as it goes through and out the other side like an hourglass, it is transmuted into the form of a new light. So come with me as if I am here, knowing that you are walking down a dark path at night with candlelight and torches aside. And as you travel through, you don't even sure where or why you are coming, but you know you are ready to let go. If you want to let go of the resistance in your body, the shame in your body, the feeling that you are unworthy, the sense of what may be labeled or called sin, if you want to let go of the time that another violated you or hurt you or traumatized you or triggered you, a time when you felt less than or unseen or unworthy or invisible, a time when you were talking and others were nearby and no one was listening, or that you were left alone and abandoned in your heart, a time where you had gifts and things to share and say, and you were pushed aside and told it wasn't important. A time when your power was coming to the forefront to be shown, and it was cast away for others to see as not to be true. All of these times are times in which this glop of heaviness and tar begins to build as a heavy shadow of casting upon your cells, your soul, and your being. And so you have walked now to my door. The door has a rounded arch at the top, and it is made of wood. And if you choose to knock upon it, I shall open and invite you into my space. And when you come, know that if you are ready to let go, that the magnet of my light, as it receives you, magnetizes and lifts from you and deep within your being all of that in which is no longer a part of you, so that you may cast away the old template that has been propagated, that has been taught, that you have been born to in the matrix of shame, that it may now return to wholeness. And so as I open my door, you begin to see me. I stand before you. I have beautiful long brown hair and the most beautiful blue energy around me with a deep dark brown eye. My skin is olive and my heart is glowing. It is soft and sweet. Today I wear the cloth of the white and of the linen. Notice me and my feet on the dirt floor. See the fire behind me glowing in the fireplace as the wood is crackling. Notice the fur on the floor, so warm and inviting. Come into my space, my dear one, and lay down. And as you lay down there, know that I am here next to you and that I love you. You lay there almost mesmerized by my energy, my piercing light, and my love for you. In that moment, you decide to sit up. And as you sit up, I sit across from you. I am sitting cross-legged in the lotus position, as are you. Look into my beautiful eyes as I into yours. Feel the presence of my love for you. As I take my right hand and I place it upon your heart, you may feel the warmth. Close your eyes now, my dear child, and feel the presence of my hand on your heart. Know now that with my intent and command, I shall turn on my magnet. And beneath my hand on the floor between us is a beautiful chalice made of gold. It is wide and grand. The bottom of it hits the floor. And you see the energy moves down into the core of the earth. And as I place my hand upon your heart, if you are willing now, I begin to magnetize any of this black tar or heaviness or goop. You must bring your awareness to it. It will come as a flooding memory. And as the memories come, allow them to rise as if they are floating out of you and into my hand. And then my hand moves toward the chalice as it begins to drop the tar, as it is spinning like a beautiful twister into the chalice and down into the earth. And so we shall begin. And as in this moment now, I turn on this magnet, the memories will begin to rise. And as they rise, you will remember a time in which you felt unimportant. And the energy will start to pull off of your body. And it will move like a twister of energy spinning into the chalice. And as it moves into the chalice absorbs it and transmutes it. And as it goes toward the stem, it turns to light as it drops down into the earth. It is like a pouring of energy now is coming off your body for any time that you felt unworthy, anytime you felt unimportant, anytime you were jealous of someone else and felt they had more or that you were less than them, anytime you felt judged for who you were or what you said or what you did. The memories continue to flood through you as the energy swirls around you, spinning into the chalice. Any time that you were not honored in your body, any time someone made fun of your body, any time you were ashamed of your body, anytime your body was violated or hurt in any way, allowing the energy to come off of you now, releasing it and letting it go as it is twisting quickly and fast, like black, dark tar moving down through and into the chalice, transmuted into light. The memory of the feminine, for all the women and all the times that they were not seen or held as property or whipped or put aside for their knowing, their intuition, for any time you wanted to speak something and you were told it was silly or you were too sensitive or too emotional or because you were on your period, for all those times, allow the energy to be released now. Let it go as it twists and turns into darkness, twisting like a twister down into the chalice as it is received. Just be now and notice it coming off of you, as if you are cleaning a deep, old silver that is black. And as you wipe it clean, it becomes shiny, and the blackness, the char, the energy falls away like dust spinning into the chalice. Know that you cannot hurt me, for I am simply taking that which is not yours and casting it back and transmuting it into the light. Know that in your willingness to surrender and to let go, to release, to let go of your resistance, that you are becoming clearer, stronger, and shining, that you are helping all of the women and all of humanity to bloom and to blossom and to return to the divine feminine, that rebalances the energy that I hold with Jesus as his teachings, his light, and his love become stronger, more understood, seen, heard, and felt throughout the cosmos. And when you feel that you have released and let go of all that you are willing and all that you can, the chalice begins to collapse, begins to melt and dissolve into the earth, taking with it this heaviness, this muck, this tar, this old energy as it is transmuted now and received in a welcomed arms by the womb of the beautiful earth as she easily and clearly returns it to its light. And now you feel different. You are shinier, you're sparkling, and you're light. And as we sit there now, you take your hand, placing it on my heart, thanking me, loving me, honoring me, appreciating me, and knowing that we are one. For whether you are in the body of a man or a woman, you have just entered the sisterhood of light, as the divine feminine within you has risen. And in that it unifies and merges with that of the divine masculine. And as they are lifted together as one, the teachings of our love are heard and echoed throughout the cosmos, the universe, and your beautiful planet as they rain light across the globe. Child, you may open your eyes as you see me. Together we stand in my dwelling with the hearth and the warmth of the fire. Allow me to hold you and embrace you as you remember me and I you, as we came together in this great design to meet today, on this day, in this minute, in this moment of receiving and healing. Know that you too can heal, that you too can lift the burden of the heaviness and the dark tar from another in the believing of your own light. And with that, I give you my blessing as I open my doorway out into the world you go, knowing that now you are filled with light and shimmering love, remembering of the great design, knowing you were born as I was when I was, at the time that I was to do what I did, so are you to do and to be who you are now, knowing you have a mission and a purpose and a way of being, for there is a great plan. May the doorways open, and may you see visions and flashes and remembering of the plan, May you know who you are and why you are here. And may you go forth now lighter and filled with love, remembering your design, opening your heart to the rose, and returning to the light. I shall return another day to share more of my story, to bring my great love and the union of the light of the great Yeshua as we come together thousands of years later now to teach you and to share with you our truth. Go forward now, be strong, be courageous, follow your design, and know that you are here because the great void and the ones of the great nameless ones asked you and you agreed. And in that agreement, you have work to do. So do not allow the old ways of the matrix to shackle you to pain and suffering when you are lifted now into the light, knowing that the pathway is clear, the door is open, and you may proceed with love. Wow, that was a lot of energy, very powerful. Thank you for being with us on our free Sunday call. Much gratitude. Tomorrow is the Lion Gate activation. If you'd like to join us, it's at 8 p.m. You can register through email or on my Linktree and Instagram. I wish you a beautiful day. That's a lot of energy to integrate, so I'm going to let you go and unmute you. And if you'd like to do key codes with us, they're very powerful. Join the I Am membership.